Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod with Jason Lindstrom. He's CEO at Bucketlist Rewards and Recognition. He's also managing partner there. Cool guy, founder at Advisor Websites. And yeah, I always love entrepreneurs that are a member of entrepreneurs organization. Seems to be a nice quality of entrepreneur that emerges from these masterminds. So very glad to have Jason on. This podcast is presented to you by my podcasting company. If you want to start your podcast, it's called podware.com. We help you scale, we help you monetize, we make podcasting an ikigai activity and scale it through capitalistic means, whatever that means. Jason, welcome to the pod. Well, tell me a bit more about Bucket List, rewards and recognition.
Yeah, for sure. As you mentioned, my name is Jason. I'm the CEO at Bucketlist Rewards. We're a leading employee rewards and recognition platform, and it's a super interesting space. Like I think, as a lot of CEOs know, like when you take good care of employees, they stick around longer and perform better. And with a rewards and recognition program, we can lower voluntary turnover more than 40% and drive up engagement. And it's super cool. Like if you look around, like rec employee rewards and recognition has been around for all times. Like the greatest leaders always tell stories about their colleagues and team members. They celebrate them. They create these hero myths. And if you look around, like all the greatest companies have rewards and recognition programs, whether it's like a Disney or the NFL or Google. It's a well-trodden area. So yeah, that's a little bit. And sorry, bucket list rewards. As I said, we're a rewards and recognition platform. Something kind of fun about us is we're really good at making employee dreams come true, amongst many other things.
Computer lag. Okay, bucket list. The idea. I have a bucket list myself. It's more vision boards, and most of the stuff that's there gets executed pretty fast. So it's I kind of close the loop between each. Where did you get that idea first?
I think I got it from my dad. He's always been a big bucket list guy. Um, I don't know if you remember those books, those Chicken Soup for the Soul books. Like my dad used to buy those all the time, and I remember him showing me this one page where there was a guy who's like 93 at the time of writing. He'd written out his bucket lists when he was 20, and he had over the years between 20 and 93, he'd gone ahead and checked off like 80% of these life goals, and it was awesome, man. And as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of power uh, when you write goals down. Like your chances of success go through the roof. Um, and so I guess I was just inspired by my dad. I watched him run marathons. He's a big mountain climber. I got to see him like he's tackled many of the world's 7 summits. So he's had a shot at Aconcagua, one of the biggest mountains in South America. He's climbed Mount Shasta and he's been on many of the other peaks. So I was super inspired. I've always been inspired by my dad. He's a super cool dude. And then fast forward to my, I guess, kind of mid 30s, I started this concept called bucket list rewards. It started off in a slightly different path, down a slightly different path, and we did a pivot early on to what we were doing today.
Yeah, it's interesting. How do you apply that to employees, and how do you make money off that?
Good question. So probably the easiest way to tell the story or explain the concept is like the origin story. So when we started out with Bucket List, it was more like a Pinterest. It was a B2C platform. People could go there and create their own bucket list. Um, what made it kind of sticky or interesting is they could explore other people's bucket lists and they could copy items from their list and put a lot over to their onto their list. So it was more of an inspiration platform. Uh, we grew that to about 900,000 users, but we're having problems monetizing the concept. And over the years, we had a number of companies reaching out to us, corporations saying, hey, we're tired of giving out gift cards or gold watches. We want to reward employees with something meaningful. Like we love our employees. We really want to show that we care about them. Can we use your platform to reward our employees? The first time this came up, we're like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense to us. But over the years, we had maybe 10, 15 different like large enterprise request this as a feature. And by about the 15th one, we're like, you know what, let's investigate it. Um, I previously built a SaaS company, so pivoting from a consumer facing application to like more of an enterprise SaaS platform made a lot of sense to us from a business point of view. And so we went into the space and we had a ton of success. And that differentiator still lasts to this day. Like there's a huge amount of power in taking good care of your employees and also like rewarding somebody in a meaningful way. Like in a second, I'd love to ask you what's on your bucket list. But man, like for example, one of our first customers, they're called 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And they used our platform to inspire employees to and also to reward them. There's a fellow there named Jerry, and what he'd always wanted to do was to go to a developing country and build a school. And so one intern got junk, flew him to Tanzania. He brought his family along, and he built a school there. And that was his bucket list. And that reward got picked up by like Inc. and by Founder magazine. They won all sorts of awards for the rewards and recognition program. And if you talk to Jerry, like Jerry was over the moon happy. He's like, this is one of my life's greatest goals, and my employer made that dream come true. And so, like, all these stories get told inside the company and outside the company. It's just an amazing way to reward people. And there's over the years, we've had hundreds of stories like that. Like when you take good care of people, they stick around longer and perform better.
What
Oh, and
are,
sorry,
yeah.
I was just gonna say, sorry, I ramble sometimes, so feel free to shut me down. But we charge per employee per month. It's the platform looks a lot like a Facebook or an Instagram, and so
Yeah.
you can get all your employees on there and start to reward and recognize them.
Interesting. So it's a fee per month per employee, let's say like
Yeah.
$50 per employee per month or
No, it's pretty affordable. It's like sort of between $2 to $5 per employee per month, depending upon company sizes. So, and it's a little known fact, but there's about $90 billion spent on rewards and recognition in the US each year alone. So it's like this, and the market's growing quite swiftly because a lot of companies can't afford to pay higher wages. So they're looking for creative ways to retain and attract employees. And we're a great solution for that.
interesting. What are examples of activities, experiences, or bucket list items? I saw date night for two. Sure, I saw a brewery tour. That's pretty cool as well. Like what's trending nowadays on bucket list?
So ideally like the best programs are all about personalizing, and I'll share some tips because like I think like I'm so passionate about rewards and recognition. I think everybody should do it. Like it doesn't matter whether you use us or a competitor or whatever, just do it. So the best way to reward people, survey them. And Charles, what's on your bucket list? What are some like maybe small or medium things you want to do with your family, friends? I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, like me, I'm weird. So me, I have like, if you'd ask me like one item, it'd be to have a Neuralink so I can feel and have everything ever. And I could feel everything from every humans in history, right? That's like, yeah, to get on a not path. But if you ask me like classic items, humans items, well, I have a bunch of things. Beachside house, I think that you're seeing here on my list. Rolls Royce, Rolex, like vanity stuff, right? In terms of experiences and trips, going to South Africa, I guess, India, Australia, traveling there. So I have like a list of probably 200 items or experiences like that, and stuff for other people as well.
Nice. Okay, so excellent. So a lot of rewards for employees, like there's always the big wishes, and sometimes that makes sense, but those often come with a big price tag. A lot of times, if you dig into what people really want or go deep and really understand what matters to them, there's a lot of like sometimes even low cost, no cost items that you can give to somebody that are really deeply impactful. So maybe on the high end for you, I heard like South Africa, trips to India. We've actually seen a lot of companies do that for like when an employee celebrates a big milestone, like 10 years of service, or they win like Innovator of the Year type of award. For those big awards, you can often provide a big budget and make some big dreams come true. Prior to us starting today, I heard that you have some family up in Montreal. Maybe I could do some sort of cool family dinner for you guys where I connect you and your brother, and I think I heard you say he has a new born child. Like maybe I can craft some sort of cool experience for you, your brother, and the whole family, right? And that stuff is meaningful if you can take care of the employee and their larger family group. Like so, for example, we worked with this one venture capital company in Seattle, and what they did is for every major milestone, they rewarded the employee, and they also provided a reward for their family member. So like you, just for example, a dad might take his daughter to a Seattle Seahawks game because that really matters to them, or maybe it's a mom who wants to go whale watching with her family. Uh, uh, or maybe here's an example of somebody specific. I talked to this guy named Anthony. He always wanted to learn how to fly. We don't have to put them through entire flight school. There's like flight lessons, like introductory flight lessons for like $100, $150. And in this example, Anthony did this introductory lesson, and I talked to him afterwards. I'm like, Anthony, how was it? And he's like, that was the best experience of my life. He's like, I've been married. I've had all these cool experiences. That was number one. So in many cases, big life goals or meaningful experiences can have a small price associated with them.
And what's on your bucket list?
Um, like yourself, it's like it's kind of changed over the years. Right now, I I have two little girls, two daughters. I have a 5 year old and an 8 year old, and I'd love to teach them how to surf one day. I love to go heli skiing. I have like tons of business goals as well. Like we'd love to scale the business and eventually impact 100 million lives. Help 100 million people achieve a bucket list or life goal. So it crosses a spectrum, everything from very small to very big.
I think one that constantly resurfaces is flying, but not in an airplane, like with a device with wings, and having like true freedom with some kind of jetpack or something. That one's pretty high. Might actually start a startup to build it.
I love you. So you want to build to fly with like a wingsuit and that? Hey man, I'll be your first customer. That sounds awesome.
You don't want to be my first customer.
Yeah, maybe we'll let you prototype it, right?
Yeah, after I test it on at least 10 or 100 other folks, but yeah, there would be a parachute. I often wonder why they don't have like parachutes in planes or yeah, some type of device to actually save you from a crash. But on a CEO parenthesis or direction, like what are your top goals this year? What do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, we want to we've had a pretty strong growth rate, sort of either we've been growing between 50 to 100% year over year. And we want to maintain that growth rate in the current year. Obviously, like when you're growing, like the more you grow, the harder it is to maintain a double. So we have some growth goals. Uh, we want to grow to. I can more. It's easier to speak to the 3 year goals, and then we reverse engineer that. So some of our 3 year goals is to we have about 350,000 employees on our platform right now. We want to scale that to about 1 million employees, which is roughly 1,600 companies. We want to be recognized as one of the best employers in North America. We want to, and obviously want to make a whole bunch of employee dreams come true as well. So those are just a few of the things we're hoping to achieve in the coming years.
And what about you personally? What are you working on this year?
Um, Something I've been really enjoying is we recently closed a Series A growth round, venture round. So we're a venture-backed company now, and we had this opportunity to bring in some really, like I think, really amazing, talented people. And so we have this senior leadership team that's emerged. And some things on my list, I want to continue to bring these people together. I want to make sure that uh, we become, I think we're a really good team, but I want us to become a great team. And I think, like, in my experience, I've built a few startups. Everything rises and falls based upon leadership, but also how leaders come together. Like, are they aligned? Are they having those difficult conversations? Are we speaking honestly to one another? So I want to make sure this team is coming together. We're aligned on what we want to achieve, and that we're comfortable having difficult conversations. And and I think, like, what does success look like? Like, I love for people to be able to look back on their careers and say this is the best place they've ever worked. I'd also love for people to look back and be like, I had like not just one but two or three best friends at work. Like, I love work. Sorry, am I allowed to swear? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Like, just like be like I had that was the best place I worked. And like I had like multiple good friends that they stayed friends with for years. So I want to craft like an amazing experience both internally and externally.
Right. What challenges have you faced also building that one?
Uh, it's super interesting. Like, so I mentioned we brought in some really good senior people. We've hired some senior people with fantastic playbooks and it didn't work out. And so challenges, I want to make sure that we're able to both recruit people in, get them aligned and get them performing. Um, Also when it comes to growth, there's uh there's a whole like there's a lot of things that we've been doing from a growth point of view, like to drive leads and to drive demos, which ultimately result in more revenue down the road. Um, and occasionally we hit these plateaus, and we have to keep punching through these plateaus because you'll max out marketing channels, the distribution channels. And so in the coming years, I want us to unlock new growth channels and to continue to allow us to maintain our kind of strong and steady growth rate. So growth is top of mind. Yeah, that's something that we're trying to work on right now.
Cool. And for younger entrepreneurs that are starting out their journey, what would be your advice to them?
Uh, I think it really depends upon what stage they're in. Like for really early startups, um, there's this really good metaphor that I heard once is like there's a lot of you want to find a business category or a market and you want to think of them like elevators and some some markets like AI is going up really fast right now. So that's an elevator going up and some markets are going down like print publishing, like newspapers, for example. And from my experience, it's really important to enter a market that's going up. So ideally, a large market size that's growing year over year, and ideally, you, in my experience, not necessarily being first to market, but being early to market. Like if you're trying to define a category, that's super hard in my experience. But if you're kind of in the first three, there's not a lot of competition. There's a lot of demand, like a lot of blue ocean. That's an amazing time to scale up. Um, the second thing I would say is like find a really strong mentor. Uh, in my life, I've had like a bunch of really strong mentors, and man, like if you find the right person, they can be a game changer. I read this great stat. It's from Gartner. This says if individuals can have mentors, which can be a game changer. But if you roll out a mentorship program in your place of employment, it typically will have a 600% ROI to your organization. It just totally makes sense, right? Like because everybody comes with their natural predispositions, but like our blind spots are significant, right? And normally the first time we do anything like build a puzzle, solve a Rubik's Cube, it takes a lot of time and effort. But if you can bring somebody into your organization who's done it before, it can massively accelerate and solve problems super fast. So mentorship has been critical. And then being in the culture space, I think there's a whole bunch of things you can do to get your team excited and aligned and performing at a high level. Uh, and just the last one I might say is there's a lot of a lot of employees don't necessarily know where a company's going. Like here's a question for you, Charles. Guess what percentage of employees don't know what a company's trying to achieve?
Like 70%.
Yeah, super close. It's right around 63% according to LinkedIn, which is actually a huge issue, right? Because if you think about the best teams, whether sport teams or business teams, like they're aligned, man. They're like all rowing in the same direction together. And so I think as a leader, it's your responsibility to get people aligned and focused on one goal. And there's something called the Northstar metric. And in my experience, it's like one simple number that you can rally the team around. Uh, and ideally, it should generate revenue for the business, and it should also add value to the customer. And like just for example, at Airbnb, their Northstar metrics is nights booked. Uber has rides booked. At Bucketlist Rewards, this number of lives impacted on our platform. But if you have that one number, you can rally the team around it, and everybody's like, we know exactly where we're going and by when. So that's one I guess maybe final tip I'd recommend to uh, founders or early stage founders.
Love it, Jason. And where can people find out more about you?
I think you could just check out the website, bucketlistrewards.com, or feel free to Google me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to connect with people there.